Um, and he just can't really understand that what works for him isn't going to work for me. You know, I mean, and if you look, I mean, he worked his ass to the bone, and how did it work out for him? I mean, sure, he's got some money, he's got some property, he's done okay, he's well known in the city and well respected, but his family life is a disaster. I mean, his wife left him after 30 years, unhappy the entire time. His one kid was a drug addict. His other kid, she got pregnant at 19, has been a depressed head case her entire life. He has no relationship with any of them. It didn't work. I was meeting with a friend, Jeff, who is, he's actually the department chair of a university, but he's like one of my best friends, and we were talking. He has similar problems with his parents. They're very dismissive. You know, I mean, and he's in his like mid-50s. But yeah, it makes me kind of sad to think my dad's plan didn't work. You know, that he put all his marbles in and never was able to adjust or kind of assess if it's working. He just doesn't know how to do that. He just acts like there's no problem and stuffs it down and doesn't want to face things. And it had disastrous results. So I don't want to be mad at him, but God, I got to find a way to explain to him, look, Dad, you don't even know what my goals are. You don't even know what I think or feel or value or what my plans are, or, you know, so how could you possibly help? How could I possibly listen to you if you don't even know what I want? And he doesn't want to have to know what I want, because that could make him uncomfortable, because then he might have to realize that his plan is not a good plan. You know, he doesn't want to have to think that, because a different way might not work. But really, he should realize that his way didn't work. So how much harm could it do to try another way? But anyways, it's like, I'm 30 now. Luckily, I look young. You know, I'm a young 30. And there's a lot of longevity in my genes. You know, I should quit smoking. You know, but I've spent a lot of time thinking my entire life about the big questions about life and death and faith and God and everything, and I'm glad I have, because I think I'm at least in a place where I'm closer to understanding it, and I do have a faith that I want to continue to nurture, and a good understanding, I think, of Christianity and church history, as well as philosophy and metaphysics and everything else, as well as being really in touch with my feelings and being a really good communicator and very intuitive. All that stuff has a lot of value, and my dad has none of that, for instance. And he wouldn't be able to see how valuable that stuff is. He can't imagine someone sitting and spending all day reading could be a very valuable use of time. He would see that and see, oh wow, you wasted the whole day. He could never imagine that I would think, you know, painting something that doesn't need to get painted would be a waste of a day. You know what I mean? He fixing something that doesn't need to be fixed could be, at the very least, a very inefficient use of your time, depending on what your goals are. So, what are my goals? Well, I want to be successful in a way that gets me recognition as well as helps people. Both of those things. You know, I'd like to have a company, some sort of autonomy, something I created, something that, you know, I really control, and I have so much creative kind of intelligence that should be probably a good fit for me. And it's such a fertile time right now for technology-based companies and things like that. Even stuff that you start without any capital, you know, just blogs and things like that, or a YouTube channel or podcast. These things can go really big, and you can do them for free. And I have been working on them, and I do know a lot about them. That's a great start. You would think he would, with all his money, invest just a little bit into that type of thing. Just like $1,000 or something could just be a day or night difference. What I could do with it. You know, so it would be great if he would at least start thinking about it. You know, but yeah, with, you know, some of these types of little companies you get, some of the big benefits is the ability to travel. You get recognition, you get known, you get asked to speak at different events like Blog World or different expos, or to travel to this or that, or, you know, consultation things, all sorts of things. And I would like to start traveling to Eastern Europe to try to find a wife. The average American woman is just unmitigated slattern, you know, like the type of girl you would find on campus. 99 out of 100 of them are not marriage material. They're very slutty. They only are attracted to these just alpha jock, bad boy drug dealer, you know, minorities, just dirts. And they have no respect for intelligence or empathy, or people that are, you know, good communicators, people that are of virtue, integrity, all these other things, and they have none of it themselves. And it's something you could have sympathy for, because they didn't have a good relationship with their parents, with their father especially. They've been so badly influenced by the Jew media, saying that it's okay to be a slut, it's okay to do this. We want to push all this immigration, we want to push all this intermarrying, we want to, you know, do whatever feels good, blah, 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 all this stuff, corrupting their minds, and destroying faith, and, you know, yeah, the Reformation, everything, destroying Christianity, all this stuff is really hurt women's opportunities. So when a woman is this unmitigated cock carousel riding slut, I do have some empathy for them, don't get me wrong, but I would just not ever want to have anything to do with one of those girls. It's not a good bet. It's not even a bet, it's a guarantee of a bad result, because they are just not the type of people that are going to be able to handle the responsibilities, you know, of that type of a commitment, and they just don't, it just couldn't work out. And my dad doesn't really understand this. You know, he's getting involved with a woman who had a very physically abusive upbringing, so bad that his fiance used to get beat up as a kid, so bad that her and her mom would have to stay at a hotel sometimes to get away from him. You know, that type of stuff really fucks a person up. And unless you've had just immense amounts of counseling, the chance that hasn't permanently affected her is not good, you know. If I met a girl and I heard she had a background like that, that would be a big red flag that there's going to be problems with her. You know, my dad just is clueless about any of this type of stuff. So there is a value, even though I'm not where I should be in terms of my professional life. I am way ahead in terms of these other things, so that is a good benefit that I should really remember. And it would just be great if my dad understood it, you know. But yeah, so, you know, I'll have this success. I want to graduate from college. I want to get a computer programming degree, and it's the type of thing where you can do it on your own. Just with that skill, you can make your own programs. You can do it freelance. You can go get funding through crowdsourcing, or through, you know, just the regular way of pitching it to investors and stuff. You can even just get a couple of you, just like 3-4 people. That can be a company. They call them startups. You know, I'd like to move to LA or to San Francisco or New York, you know, somewhere where it's a big city, an important place, you know, and work there, you know, really being something big, being someone big, and achieving the potential I can and affecting people in the way I can. You know, I have all this intelligence, I have such an important message and a gift to give to the world, especially philosophically, because our biggest problem right now is not anything having to do with finances. I mean, sure, our economy is bad and our government is a mess, but the really big problem is a philosophical one, is a spiritual one. And, I see these evangelicals, these fundamentalists in the park that are just pushing this, turn it over, you need to turn it over to Christ, blah, 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 this very new agey, non-denominational, they call it, type of Christianity, or they even use these little talking points about, going to Lutherans or Catholics or saying like, oh, you need to be saved, you've had all this religion, but you don't have a relationship, saying they're not religious. Well, yeah, you are. Your just religion is about a relationship. These little semantic games, that take the type of person that falls for that is really not very smart, doesn't have very many intellectual blessings, and maybe has had a really difficult life, so they hear this really bad thing, kind of like with NA. It's nonsense. The type of people that fall for it are not the same types of people that I can help. I can help the type of people that type of thing cannot help, because they're smarter than that. They realize it's bullshit. So I really do have the ability to reach some people that it's going to take a little bit more than this cursory kind of surface level proselytizing, and I think that if I really focus and I really work hard, when I get to where I can be, when I realize my potential, the fact that I started from such a low place, from the absolute bottom, from homelessness, from heroin addiction, from jail, almost going to prison, almost being a felon, everything else, is just going to be such a huge kind of impressive factor at getting people's attention, right? Because people are impressed by it. They are taken aback by it. It makes them stop to listen and they hear, what? You were there and now you're here? Because most people wouldn't be able to do that. So that is the way I look at this as a benefit. Everything that I've gone through, all my troubles, and how much it bothers me and is frustrating where I am right now, but that it could all be part of the plan, and it could be something I can turn into a huge positive. But it would be really great if, kind of the people that are supposed to be supporting me could make some of the needed changes as well, because I've just made immense changes, and then daily trying to change. I'm not in probation or anything like that. I don't have any reason to be clean, but yet I am, because I am trying to change my life. I am trying to get these things that I really know I can achieve, and because I've worked really hard with counseling and all these other things to undo some of the damage that was done throughout my life, in childhood and in my late teens and stuff, with friends betraying me and with no support from my parents, then, my dad blaming it on me and not ever once supporting me, that stuff, but I am really, really toughened up, to the point where I can kind of realize that I don't need people as much. I want people, and but I do kind of realize that I can commit to something that's a little more important than needing to worry about if I got a lot of friends from the cross or something. I do want to get a balance in my life, because I do want to have some fun, and I really think I do need some relationships in my life. But at the same time, I do realize now that, like, if you would lose a relationship or this or that, it's not that important, and it doesn't reflect on me as much as I used to feel like it did, because my dad made me feel like, what did you do? Never saying it's the other person's fault, that I didn't deserve what's happened to me. Always saying, you belong in a home, things like that. But, it is what it is. And got to keep on keeping on, and I'm optimistic today.